May I think that all of you have introduced yourselves?
Moiza Joseph from Kimanya Simambi and Company Advocates for Texas.
For Texas, where is Mr. Biens Jameson?
Mr. Yins today is not feeling well.
Just be on the record.
Mr. Yins today is not feeling well. Is not able to come today, but his counsel would be shortly coming.
Even the council doesn't feel well.
No, the council is coming.
But what time did you invited you to be here?
It was supposed to start 10 o'clock.
What is the time now?
It's coming to 11.
Members, we are still waiting for the commissioner. He's soon arriving because the issue of Kajansi is entirely now rests on the commissioner. So on that issue, when the commissioner arrives, we shall immediately start because we can't move unless we have had his input as the commissioner to sort out, I think, the gist of that issue. However, we have, I think, instead of keep waiting for the commissioner, we can as well start with Damanico properties in regards to Plot 40, FRV 9349 Kampala Road, Plot 54, LRV 193 Kampala Road, Plot 27, LRV 6 Aldina of Islam Street, and Plot 15, LRV 175 Army Avenue.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
I've not requested you to start. I'm the chair, council. Members, last time on the issue of Damanico properties, we had requested to see some individuals. I don't know whether the Mother Kevin representative around.
I've just talked to Anuka, is about to arrive. It's in the way.
We requested you to come at what time?
At 10, that's what we told you.
What's the time now?
It's 11.
How do you want us to move? On your pace?
I may move with making my submission as far as Protocol is concerned. Because Mother Kevin is just issue of the properties which were held inside. Either Tuanuka took them or Hema took them. That's what the reason why we call them Tuanuka.
But in a situation that they are not allowed, how are we going to know that?
I'm of the view we start with a submission on the issue surrounding properties, ownership, and the petition at hand. Then when Bibanja arrives, we shall go on to that issue.
Members, as we are starting on this issue, I want all of you to know that our work, what we are doing, is not settling the score. If you know that the petitions before this committee is about to settle some scores, then you are in the wrong position. But the reason and the terms of reference we have is to check the repossession process of all the properties which were under custodian board, and also to seek the advice that the custodian board members, there are most people they complain why custodian board are always with us. They are with us because one, they're the custodian of all the properties of custodian board which we are investigating upon. So they are here as witness, and the way how we are going to move is to find whether that the property we are talking about was repossessed, and if there is any problem in repossession, and we can only ascertain that by custodian board members. With that, we receive the petition, members.
Chair, thank you so much. I entirely agree with you, because basing on what Mr. Sim presented the other time, and even what he has just alluded to, I think for us as a committee, our mandate is on the repossession. The issues of tenancy, whether one was a tenant or whether he was a subtenant, to me, I don't think that we should look into those issues, because they can be addressed somewhere else. But for us, we are concerned with the property, whether it was rightly repossessed or not. Other emerging issues in regards to tenancy, to me, I don't think that it would be material for us at this particular time. I thank you.
Members, I was telling you, we received a petition from Mr. Tusime John, and as a concerned citizen, he was came to help the committee and was stating that the foreign properties, they were illegally repossessed, and that is Broadforte Kampala Road, FRV 93409, Road number 54, Kampala Road, LRV 1934022, Road number 27, Aldina Vizlam Street, Room Street, LRV 6409, Road number 15, Army Avenue, Kampala, Macnon Road, LRV 1754020. We are going to start with Damanico properties. We go one by one. One property, then we go to custodian board. Then we ask the petitioner. No, from Damanico, petitioner, custodian board. Broadforte, Damanico.
Thank you, Chair. Broadforte, FRV 93, Folio 9, Kampala Road. This property is owned by Damanico Properties Limited, having acquired it from Popatlao Hilji Properties Limited.
From?
Popatlao Hilji Properties Limited. It was a company. So you will see this on a on a copy of the title.
Is it part of the document you submitted?
Yes. The title.
Can you wait a bit?
That shows ownership.
Wait a bit.
Annexure A. So, from the title, you can see that this property is currently owned by Damanico Properties. Repossession was carried out by the former owners, Propatlao Hilji Properties Limited, a limited liability company incorporated under the laws of Uganda and owned majorly by a Ugandan citizen. We've attached an extra B as the letter of repossession. An extra B.
Council, if I may ask before I could proceed,
Yes.
does a letter of repossession
Yes.
under the Expropriated Properties Act
Yes.
gives a leeway for registration of a title or transfer of a title?
It gives a leeway for repossession of a title, and it's a legal document that can allow the holder to transfer that title to a third party.
A letter of repossession?
Yes.
Our lead counsel. Can a letter of repossession help the owner to transfer the title?
Thank you, Chairman.
You can repossess the property by transferring the title. I'm not certain on that.
It permits transfer of repossession of property
Yes.
under the law, and this has been the decision of the High Court of Uganda in Attorney General versus Smith and Sons
Attorney General?
versus Smith and Sons Limited. It's miscellaneous cause number 10 of 2010.
Counsel for Damanico,
Yes.
are you still on the same position?
We hold the
Like
same
the position you have?
Yes.
Because under the Expropriated Properties Act,
Yes.
if a property was vested under custodian board,
Yes.
to transfer the title, they must register the certificate of repossession
Yes.
on the title.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
Could you show me on your title the certificate of repossession, the number to which you used to transfer the title?
The repossession fee. You can see from the title, they issued a special title in accordance with the provisions of Section 67 of the Registration of Titles Act, the duplicate certificate of the title which was originally issued having been lost. So you can see that no one extra.
Counsel, even a special certificate of title, they would have registered the certificate of repossession to show that this property was duly dealt in by the Minister of Finance.
Honorable Chair, sir, we have the certificate of repossession. It's not registered on the title, not the title that we have, but it's registered with the Ministry of Lands.
You see, Counsel,
Yes.
as there is no excuse in the law that because what this is an accountability committee, we deal with evidence.
Yes.
The evidence you have tabled before this committee, Annex B, is a letter of repossession,
Yes.
which is a good letter in law that you can that now you have repossessed the property. Eh?
Yes.
It's good as look at that, now you have repossessed the property. But the law in transferring the property, you must go back in custodian board. They give you a certificate of repossession, which you register on the title as a proof that the Minister of Finance has duly dealt in the property. When you have a letter of repossession, you can't use it to transfer the property unless you have a different law, which you can read for us. Learning doesn't end.
Our understanding was some of these properties were repossessed by letter and others were repossessed by certificate.
But the question is, we don't doubt that it was repossessed by letter. Nobody doubts that.
Yes.
But in a situation of transferring the title, it's good that now the commissioner is here. He can as well. Commissioner, we are going to start with. We are not going to give you time to rest. We are going to immediately start with the work. In a situation that someone has repossessed a property, a custodian board property, with the rate of repossession, can the rate of repossession be used to transfer the title, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, first I want to apologize for being late.
We have already forgiven you. We knew the jam.
From Kono is a nightmare. Mr. Chairman, a letter of repossession appears to have been an administrative measure for purposes of introducing especially the repossessor to the tenants and the local authorities. Some of those letters ended up with us, but we will not register them. What we know under the law is the certificate of repossession. It is a certificate authorizing repossession. That's what we know under the law, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
maybe Damanico can tell us, the committee, because this particular property, when we went to London, we found we found individuals.
Which property?
This particular one of Brute Forte. We found the former proprietors of this particular property in London.
What are the names of those former proprietors?
Mr. Chairman, I will request to step out and get my notebook where I noted. And they submitted even a copy of the title.
Honorable Kahonda, being a member of this committee,
Yes.
and you know that this is accountability committee, based with the evidence, which you are very much aware, I will give you some few minutes to step out, so that whatever you table before this committee is based on the evidence you have.
And I will also request that the clerk should find out from the records that we retrieved from London, because they submitted series of documents to the committee. Yes.
So the clerk, the committee, you can help the committee to retrieve the documents pertaining to Brute Forte, Kampala Road. Council to Damanico, you've heard what was submitted by the commissioner. I still stand with the same position you have, that you duly dealt in this property by registering the certificate of repossession of the same.
Honorable Chair, my client, the current proprietor of Damanico Properties, is not the actual person, was not the proprietor of Damanico Properties at the time that the property was repossessed. However, she is the current proprietor, and from the history and what she has learned, the property was duly repossessed by her father, who was the proprietor, and at the time of repossession, and the custodian board may clarify on this, the letter of repossession would suffice for the former owners who are actually Ugandan. The property law repossessed these properties and sold to my client. So whether or not this property was duly repossessed is an issue that property law would know better, and we are glad to learn that when your committee members visited London,
member, you can excuse yourself, and honorable member gets a seat near there. You can squeeze a bit and custodian board.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and the members. Honorable Chair, the property in issue is by that description, plot 40, FRV 93, folio 9. Honorable Chair can be guided by the Commissioner. That FRV, could it mean freehold?
Yes.
Honorable Chair, the proprietor of the suit property, the said property was Danak Giantelar Popatilar, and the Popatilar became a registered Ugandan he was born on 18th December 1941, and he became a registered Ugandan
18th,
1941.
December
1941, and he became a registered Ugandan on 6th April.
Was born where, sir?
He was born in Kampala, Uganda, on 18th December 1941. Birth certificate number 7670 of 19th January 1945.
Can you tender that certificate before this committee as evidence in this matter?
Upon submission, Honorable Chair.
Please.
Then he registered as a citizen of Uganda under Section 8, Subsection 1, Chapter 11 of 1962 Constitution on 6th April 1965. And indeed, his certificate of citizenship was confirmed and issued on 6th April 1965.
Should also submit that, the full that document before this committee.
Much obliged, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Popatrar filed an application to repossess his property on 16th May 1983.
Which properties, according to you?
I'm handling property straight on plot 40.
Plot 40.
Honorable Chair, Popatrar went ahead himself, not through an agent, paid the £50 meant for the repossession process.
You have a receipt to prove that?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Should submit that also.
Much obliged, Chair. And the Popatrar Limited was an incorporated company under the Companies of Ordinance 1958, Section 16, Subsection 1. And here I'm here with the certificate of incorporation to certify that Popatilar Harji Properties Limited were an incorporated body. Honorable Chair, the process of repossession commenced, and according to the payment of the £50, the verification committee certified the properties of this property in question as Popatilar's property, and the repossession was granted. And a letter of repossession was issued to that effect, Honorable Chair. And on 7th February, 7th February, all the occupants in that property were notified that the property had been returned to the former proprietor, and they were given 90 days to negotiate a new tenancy agreement with the owner.
Executive Secretary, if I may ask, does the letter of repossession help the repossessor to acquire the title, according to you?
Honorable Chair, according to the Expropriated Properties Act, it is a certificate of repossession, but when you go through many files, especially to those Asians who were of Ugandan citizenship, they were only issued with letters of repossession. Actually, currently, with the guidance of the Commissioner, we are doing due diligence to the effect that the one holding the certificate, the letter of repossession, was really the proprietor of that property. We check through the files. If we find that there is no fraud in it, then we advise the Commissioner to register that to register a certificate on title.
So Popatal Danaka, Viraj Popatal Danaka, and De La Gerara Popatal Danaka. Was that property tenants in common?
Honorable Chair, just a moment.
Yeah, because we are following the documents. As we are waiting for Executive Secretary, I'd request all other members, those who are not in this particular matter, because of the SOPs, would request you to go in the next room there, opposite this room, so that we can as well get follow the SOPs. So when we finish this matter, then we will come in and we proceed with that matter where you have interest in. So I request you follow our member there, or administrator there, so that he can show you the room where you can wait a bit. Abe Bibanja mbasaba olw'okubanga n'abali nga ensonga gye twogerako wano tebakwatako, mbadde mbasaba mugende mugira mutuulako mu luumu eri eddako awo tusobole okufuna ku space nga ab'ebyobulamu we basaba, then we tumaliriza ensonga eno, then mukomewo. Executive Secretary, let's proceed.
Honorable Chair, according to the available evidence on file, by 1963, the proprietor was Popatilar HG Properties Limited.
Popatilar HG Properties?
Yes.
It was a company?
Yes. Then also,
I'm expecting to have a copy of the resolution of the directors as a requirement to repossess the property. Do you have it on record, sir?
Honorable Chair, all that we have is an application form to repossess, which was signed by Dinak Jantiral Popatiral. And Honorable Chair, this information is preceded by the Uganda Gazette of 1995 on page 23. On page 23, it is clearly indicated that plot 40 Kampala Road, Popatiral Heritage Properties Limited. This is Ugandan, and it is a company. And according to this gazette, this is a property which was repossessed.
Executive Secretary, if may I ask, in the process of a company to repossess its properties which were expropriated, what were the requirements for that company to repossess those properties from custodial board?
It would, Honorable Chair, it would vary. This is according to the experience I'm reading in files because I was not there then, but it would vary.
No, I don't want your experience. I want by law.
By law?
Because that's what you are following. We are not following
by law,
other personal opinions.
By law, they could have a resolution. That was one entry point. Secondly, the one who held bigger shares could be allowed to repossess. Majority shares. The majority shareholder could be allowed to repossess the property.
Now, in this property, what is the scenario?
Honorable Chair, the scenario is Jantar Popatiral held he was the director, and according to the verification committee at that time, they saw all his documents correct, valid, and the repossession was the
Any of the two requirements you have indicated here. You talked of resolution and majority shareholder. Does any of the two appears in the file?
Honorable Chair, with me, I have the form of the annual return of the company having share capital. I have it with me. I shall have it to you, Honorable Chair.
Members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair, I want to find out from the custodial board, the gentleman who picked the certificate of possession, what did he present to you? What do you have on the file?
Executive Secretary.
Honorable Chair, what we have on file is that the property was repossessed by letter and repossessed by the proprietor who was a Ugandan then.
Yes, I agree all that what you have submitted before us, but we have the two issues which you need to prove to this committee so that we can be able to make an informed decision. You talked of resolution. Do you have one on the file? You talked of bigger shares. What proves that the person who repossessed was the majority shareholder? Do you have it be on the file?
Yes, I have the return which Popatiral filed in 1972.
Lead counsel, our counsel is a returns shows it's like acting as a majority shareholder of the company. When you saw that I have the returns of the company, does it show as a majority share? Does that signifies that this is a majority shareholder of the company?
Thank you, Chairman. The returns speak to the directors of the company and what level of holding they have in that company. So you find that there are percentages in there. That, for example, I own 5%, 10%, 80%. So a mere look at the returns, you'll be able to know who the majority shareholder is.
Based on the document you have, Executive Secretary, can you tell us who was the majority shareholder in this company?
Honorable Chair, Jantirar Popatirar had 240 shares.
200?
240. Whereas Dirajrar Popatirar Danak had 60 shares.
Those are two?
Yes.
And I'm seeing the property was owned by 3 people. Dirajrara Popatal Danaka, Popatal Hilj Danaka, and Village Popatal Danaka. I think they are all the electors in that company. Not so?
Honorable Chair, according to the returns I'm having, according to the record, I'm seeing only those 2. But also we need to be cognizant of the fact that these, especially the Indians, when you hear the Popatirar, the Naka, that shows you either it is a family issue or a Kilani issue.
Executive Secretary.
Yes.
When you are dealing with issues of law, even if it is your dad or your mom, we are talking of the issues of law. So we either have a resolution which signifies that this person was allowed by other shareholders, despite being the fact the majority shareholder, or they allowed them to repossess that property.
Honorable Chair, I think that effect, since this Honorable Committee moved for a fact-finding mission, unless there is a proof that there is anybody complaining to the contrary, then we can dig deep into the next.
Mr. Visible, Executive Secretary, I direct you to submit the photocopy of the original file of this property to this committee by tomorrow before noon to our clerk, and the clerk will get photocopies for members and our legal counsel to read through so that we can have an informed position on the same. Mr. Tsime.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've come with the lawyer and had come with some small written submission about that plot 40.
Can you submit those? You speak to your submission, then you submit.
In fact, the submission is narration of plot 40, LRV 193 folio 22. Plot 40, 1054, FRV 93 folio 9, plot 40, LRV 6 folio 9, plot 27, and LRV 157 folio 20, plot 15.
You can submit. Maybe we could capture that and you submit those. You can submit your documents. Clerk, you can give members.
Those documents are accompanied with power of attorney and a certificate of a letter of repossession.
You have them on this document you have submitted?
Yes, there are 3 sets.
There are 3 sets?
Yes. Power of attorney and a letter of repossession.
On these documents?
They are not stapled together.
Yes. Can I have a copy? Can I have a copy where there is a powers of attorney? Letter of repossession. Yes, proceed.
Yes, I want to draw this committee to point number 2 on the second page, on the third page.
On the third,
Third page
of which
of the submission.
of the submission, third page.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I stated that Damanico purports to have acquired interest in this plot 40 by purchase. This purchase is disputed by the registrar of title, who by letter dated 3rd July 1992 informed Damanico property through Eluwe and company advocate then that the person he purported to have bought from had no connection to the ownership of the said land. And in that letter, before I go by it, it is dated 3rd July 1992. It was referring plot 40 Kampala Road, plot 54 Kampala Road, plot 27 Aldina Vijaram, and plot 40A, also Kampala Road, where Daman had purported that he had purchased those property. And on paragraph 3, it's very clear, I stated that there is no evidence that your client is a purchaser for value consideration. The affirmation in support of the caveat is not proved by Annexure C to the affirmation. The annexure does not in any way bind the current registered owner or the current registered proprietor, implying that Daman had purported to claim that he had purchased this property from the owners. But the registrar clarified that the people you are claiming to have purchased the property are not the registered owner. That was 1992. Then in 1994, Daman got powers of attorney. And the power of attorney was given out by 3 individuals.
Wait.
The 3 individuals, one is called Jaitirari Papitarari Danaka. Popatarari Danaka. And claiming that he has given power of attorney to Hassad Daman.
Who?
Hassad Daman.
Yes.
And on page, number 1, is claiming that to agree and work with other or lawful entities, person, to institute or commence proceedings for the grant of letters of administration on my behalf in respect of the estate of the late Papiterare Haraj Soni. And he went ahead to know, number 2, to claim, manage, operate, complete, and execute any property, conveyance, transfer, mortgage situated in Uganda on my behalf, and to take or to institute legal proceedings against any party for recovery thereof, in particular the property is specified in the schedule. The property mentioned in the schedule is plot 40 and 40A Kampala Road, is clearly stating LRV 87 folio 13 as well plot 40, Kampala Road, LRV, not FRV. It's talking of LRV. 93, folio 9, plot 27, Aldina Viziram, LRV 6, folio 9, and plot 54, Kampala Road, LRV 31, 331, folio 10.
Mr. John, even if you have a lot of things, but I request you to stick to the to the property in question, which we are dealing with.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, when you look on this document, there are 3 different parties who also claim that Hansard Damani was given power to claim the estate of their father, who is Sony. And Sony is not related anywhere in the record of the company, Papiterare Properties Limited.
The document you have submitted, I'm seeing one which was signed by Gerari Popatel Danaka, authorizing Asadi Damani. Then I also see executed dated there and there, first above, signed as Kishore Virajrari Soni.
Yes.
Authorizing Ashal Damani. Then I saw Virajrari Popatel Soni giving to authorizing Asani Damani. Where do you get this? Are these part of the original proprietors of the company?
I'm bringing out this issue for a reason that Damani perpetuated fraud in the process of acquiring this property. He first attempted to register the caveat. The registrar refused it and informed him that no, the people you are claiming to have purchased this property are not the registered owner. You come and inspect the register. Then he waited for 2 years later. Then there he purported to come up with the powers of attorney to act on behalf of people who thought that they are the owner of this property.
Executive Secretary, Custodian Board, we are seeing Popatal Hilj Danaka, Viraj Popatal Danaka, and Dilaj Rara Popatal Danaka as the proprietors of the same property. And procedure takes precedence.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'm sorry I came in a bit late. I'm Mogama Peter Panado. I represent Ikanga Municipality. The procedure issue I wanted to raise initially, the other gentleman came in as an aggrieved party where he was, I think, a tenant. Maybe I'm saying wrong because the other time he came, when he had been mistreated, he was a tenant or sub-tenant somewhere. Again, how has he come in again to claim to know more about again another plot of land, or it is the same land where he has brought in his complaint again?
Honorable Member, Mr. John petitioned this committee, I think around June, when we have just started this investigation. And we invited Damanico on this specific matter 3 times when they are not around, and they had genuine reasons because they wrote to the committee. I think in the process, I think that's when he had some issues which we found that they are not valid on this matter, because our terms of reference, we are talking of the repossession, the fraud in repossession, in repossession of the properties. So I would not go much in the rent, what. I'll stick to the terms of reference of the properties. Those other issues, we shall look at them at our own will, but not as the key issue in this. Back to Executive Secretary. I'm seeing it, the Rajali Popatal Soni, Kishore Virajali Soni, giving powers of attorney to Hassad Damani. The reason why I stick to that, I want to go to the example we had of Kasamalina Tho Null, and we found somebody taking a property in the names of Kasamalina. The other one was Kasamali, this Kasamalina, though instead of O, he put U, Null, of again U instead of double O, which was on the original, the names of the original owner. So in that aspect, do you have any of these powers of attorney? Because we requested you to give us a powers of attorney which was used by the person who repossessed this property, and according to you, we are seeing these 3 powers of attorney of different individuals giving one person, Al-Shadi Damani, powers of attorney to repossess, in particular dealing with this property. Have you got a look at this?
Those documents are of which year?
Yeah, you have them?
Which year are those documents? You know, I want to correlate.
I have this on 3rd of May, 1994, by me, the Rajlari Popatel Soni of 38 Archer Cross, Manchester. That's one. Then I see this one again, 3rd May, 1994, by Kishore Virajlal Soni of 64 Homelfield Road, Manchester. Then I see this one on 3rd. I'm seeing this one on 13th day of I think it's also 3rd day of May, 1994, by me, Jayantirari Popatel Danaka of 28 Pine Street, Manchester. This one by me, Kishore Vujalari Danaka, which means Kishore Vujalari Danaka Soni. It shows as when you look at these powers of attorney, it seems it indicates that he was among the owners of the property in question. So I don't know how do these people came to repossess, to give powers to repossess. With how do you correlate them with the Popatal Hill Danaka, Viraji Popatal Danaka, and the Rajirara Popatal Danaka?
Honorable Chair.
By the way, have you got the document? Have you looked into the document? These documents?
No.
Any member near him who has the document, can you pass it over to him? Can you pass over those documents to him, to the secretary? He has?
No, this is because I'm seeing stamps of Canada.
Yes.
But this one is.
That is I think that's a submission. It's not the powers of attorney.
Yes.
Do you have a powers of attorney? Powers of attorney can. Yeah, I think that is the copy. You can have that one, you look at it and you correlate with what you have and you brief us.
Okay, Honorable Chair, I've seen these powers of attorney. Then since they are not certified copies of Kasan board, I may not rely on them totally. I want to beg you, Honorable Chair, I rely on my file.
On your file, can you provide for this committee the powers of attorney on your file to which you based on to surrender the property under custodian board, the property in question?
Honorable Chair, you instructed me that. By tomorrow I shall have given that. You instructed already.
Okay.
And also, Chair,
yes.
According to our letter of repossession, it is dated 1992. So, after 1992, a Kasan board was stopped. It was captured. What happened thereafter actually supposed to be got from another party, not custodian board.
That was my next question, which I was going to ask you. That how did someone repossess the property in 1992, and then powers of attorney came in 1994?
Honorable Chair, all the documents we are having.
Mr. John Tusime, having brought these powers of attorney, how did it, because by the time you brought the powers of attorney, they had already repossessed the property in 1992. How sure are you that they used these very powers of attorney who have tendered before this committee to repossess the same property, which was already been repossessed in 1992?
The title of this subject property.
Have you tendered that before the committee?
I had included it in the petition which I submitted then, and I'm sorry, member, because I had made a huge presentation covering the entire thing, which were confiscated in my office. But now I've tried to make sum up everything. In this certificate of title, Hassan Daman made application for a special certificate of title. Hassan Daman is the one who made the application for a special certificate of title. And the special the application as a purchaser. And the special certificate of title application was lodged for the registry on 14th April 1994. If you could look to a certificate of the title of this property, the special certificate was issued on 14th April 1994. When the same day when Hassan Daman lodged his application. But nevertheless, he claimed that according to the declaration accompanying his certificate, he claimed that he had been informed by the seller that the certificate of title got lost during the voluntary expiration of the agents. After lodging his application, he was granted, I hope he was issued with a certificate of title. Then he went ahead to sell himself the same property. On transfer of this property in 1996, Daman signed as a vendor with power from all directors of the company, as well as a purchaser of the same property. And he states that in 1997, 96, he purchased this thing at around 300 million.
Counsel to the committee, you can briefly hear advice. If a person A is given powers of attorney, and among the powers of attorney is supposed even to sell the property, is there any law stopping him from buying that very property as a donee and a purchaser? We need to know, because now these are two things. First, in the first instance, is a person who has powers of attorney of the same property, and is a person who buys the property. He has powers to deal in the property, and he buys the property. So in such a, does any law stop somebody with the powers of attorney in case he is supposed to deal with the transaction of this property to buy that property himself?
Thank you, Chairman. I don't even know why we're talking about this, because the property in issue in Plot 40 was repossessed by a company, not by an individual. And therefore, the sale should have been done by the company to another party. It was never repossessed by an individual. According to the letter issued, the letter of repossession issued on 28th January 1992, it was Popatral Heritage Properties Limited. So if there is any transaction in relation to this property, it ought to have been done by Popatral or an agent of that company.
To see me.
It is LRV, the letter for the possession. It is LRV. And even the power of attorney, they are referring this as LRV. I don't know, the commissioner will help to guide us. How could the...
I think your question would be, how did the repossessed property, LRV, turn into FRV?
Yes.
I think that would be your question.
And maintain the same numbers.
The question, yeah, the question, Commissioner. Yes. How did well, according to the repossession later, it is LRV 9349. And according to, because this one, by the way, wait. Yes, and according to because now we are talking of two things. We are talking of Popatlali Heritage Properties Limited. And we have an individual, Assad. I need to be collected of the two, because according to, I think it correlates in one way or the other. For Popatlali Heritage Properties Limited and I think that here the volume is of the type of FRV, volume 87, 87 folio 9. And here LRV is 93 folio 9. To you, Mr. John, is this still the same and maintaining the same LRV and folio?
There are two problems. The volume 87, folio 13. The volume 87, folio 13 is plot 40A. And the volume 93, folio 9 is the plot 40. Those are two different.
You see, Mr. John, isn't this your document? Isn't this your document?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Do you have it with you?
I have it. I have it.
Look at the letter which was written on 22nd July 2019. Where you had written Rhoda on 24th July 2019 at 3:30 p.m. when they received it. I don't know where you were submitting it.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Number 1, can you read it for all members to listen? Number 1.
Number 1 is plot 40, Kampala Road, FRV 93, folio 9. The reason how it came to be quoted in this way is the fact that I was coming to that point. Initially, there is my letter which I wrote to Executive Secretary, Custodian Board, inquiring from him the status of this plot number.
What did he respond to you?
He perused through the file, in fact in my presence when I was making a follow-up. Then he wrote to Registrar of Titles in Land, inquiring to understand the status of that file, of the file they have on the land. Because according to the record by then, which we went through with him, the property was still the property of Custodian Board.
Those are hearsay. Mr. John, we are not here to listen to your conversations. Tell us your conversations. We are here to base on the facts. Whatever we are going to talk before this committee, you must submit a document as evidence for the same.
Yes.
Because when you look at what you have here, 93, and the title marked A,
Yes.
Members, based on what we have and the certificate we have, which was submitted by Damanico Properties, we found that we need the intervention of the Commissioner of Lands, because we are looking at Freehold Register Volume 93 folio 9 as submitted by Mr. John Tusime, and then again we are seeing known as Plot 40 Kampala Road being part of the land registered in volume 83 folio 9 of Freehold Register. I'm advised by a technical person, as a commissioner, that he needs to check, because seems this land was subdivided So you need to check to know the volume 87/49, whether it was as a result of which came through the subdivision of volume 93/9. With that, I will stay this this plot up to 27 August, when the commissioner will come up with the 27. We have a lot? No, it's not a lot. I think, Commissioner, I think you should, in fact, you should write freehold register volume 83/13. Then you write freehold register volume 93/9. Then you write freehold register volume 87/9. All on the same property. We want to give us how these changes and what would be the true record to which the committee can take and advise accordingly. So, clerk, according to your schedule, say 27 is full. Members, it's prudent we stay this property 40 LRV of 3 different FRVs until the Commissioner of Land give us the narrative how they connect, because there are different freehold register volumes talking on the same property. So there, we need the intervention of the technical personnel to brief us on the same. So we stay this matter until 26 August 2020 at 10 a.m. Yep.
On that date, could we please, we are requesting for another date.
25th, will it be okay with you?
25th is fine.
It's fine.
Yes.
So on 25th, that's when we shall, the commissioner will come and tell us, because you have 2 different volumes.
Yes.
The records has a different volume, so we need to know which is which on that.